Shalom, people. This is Brother Laos coming at you with another video, and I got my lovely wife with me again. And we won't be before you long. We just wanted to do video on this JID match results that we got in. If you go to the B'nai Israel video that he did for the Set Apart Conference in Archdale, North Carolina, this weekend, you'll see where someone stood up and asked about the how to put the information into JED match and how to get the results back to see the breakdown of the different tribes. That was myself. I was in the blue outfit, and my wife, you can see her, she was sitting beside me, because, excuse me, recently when we try to put her JED match, the ancestry results went in, and we got the JED match results back. We tried to read the JED match, and I had done JED match a couple of years ago, and I didn't really understand what it meant. So anyway, what happened was my wife asked me, and I tried to help her the best way I can. We didn't get nowhere, so I asked, because that was some of the things that they were talking about this weekend, and so Sister E, check out her channel too, Sister E. In the B'nai Israel video, you see where she answered the question and told everyone the sequence to go through to get to where it gave a breakdown of the different tribes. So all me and my wife did last night was we just went back onto the video, slowed it down, and copied down the instructions that she gave, and we went to JED match, like she said, because in the presentation that B'nai Israel did, he talked about how when you did the JED match, most Black Americans, the number one at the very first column, if you do the JED match the way they tell you to do it, it will show Limba. And that's not, and this is my understanding, and my wife can, give her thoughts on what she thinks it is. I'm thinking the fact that Jacob had 12 sons, so they got one father, right? So all the males' DNA will not change, just like me and my brothers. I got 3 other brothers. Our paternal DNA is not going to change from son to son. So by my wife, but see, and this is where it's kind of different, because this is my understanding too. The mitochondrial DNA is the mother, is the DNA of the mother. So what my wife's reading is showing is that somewhere in the women of her family in the past, they were tied to a woman that had Limba DNA in her. Well, she needs to get the paternal part too, which for her father, which is another story. We won't talk about that right now. But I'm waiting to get mine back. But what this does prove is that my wife, the women in my wife's lineage, they had a connection to somebody that was of the tribe. In fact, there's a couple of results in here that show several connections to the different 12 tribes, different tribes that we believe Black people are the physical descendants of these people. This JED match is showing it right here. So that said, and that's what Sister E had stated in her and B'nai. So I'm gonna let my wife, since it's her results, I'm gonna let her go down and it's the MPL World 22 for Ancestors Oracle Cause what Sister E said was when you get your GED match results back, putting in your ancestry or your 23andMe results, she said that you would go to admixture. No, it was admixture heritage. Then you go to MPL World 22, and then you go to Oracle 4, and then you hit submit, and it'll break this down because apparently it dumps in all the DNA or whatever, and so then it'll print from top to bottom the first derived on to all the populations that I guess your past was connected to. So again, like I said, my understanding is a female that does it, this is giving her mitochondrial connections in the past, meaning that somebody in her past had the DNA of this population group, not necessarily the male, because the woman only has the Y chromosome, whereas the male has the Y and the X. But you're still good, because it's showing that my wife, and looking at her, she had a lot of, I guess you would consider Hebrew women in her past. So I'll let her state what she believed, and then she can go ahead and just read just some of the ones that she had on there, since it's her results.
Yes, the first one was Limba. Second one was Bantu. The third one was Mendanka. The fourth one was Sub-Saharan. The fifth one was Yoruba. The sixth one was Biaka Pygmies. The seventh one was Ethiopian. The eighth one was Jew Ethiopian. The ninth one was Jew Ethiopian. The 10th one was Lumbee with our Lumbee Indians. The 11th one is Moroccan. The 12th one is Australian. The 13th is Mozambique. And I think those are people from Algeria.
Yeah.
Algeria,
Morocco.
The 14th one is Yemen. 15 is Puerto Rican. 16 is Egyptian.
We don't know what that.
ST7.
We don't know what these mean. It was some kind of protein thing or something.
The 18th is Miwok. That's Indians found
out in California and Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the
19th one is Jordanian.
Yeah.
The 20th one is Mexican.
That's it.
And that's it.
Yeah. Well, I'll let her talk on what she, what she thinks about the DNA results and everything for herself. What she thought about it when she.
Well, this just proves that, for the most part, in the beginning of my DNA, that we have a connection with the Jewish people.
Not the Hebrew
people. Not Jewish. Hebrew and Israelite people.
Yeah.
Because I looked up Bantu and it said they were the Israelites, which they're spread in many parts of Africa.
And now understand what we're saying. We might interchange and say Jewish people during this video because that's the word that's been used. And I think that's the confusion. We understand from the etymology that word was a word that wasn't used, that was given by the colonists. So forgive us if we use it, but we're trying to get away from using it to distinguish ourselves. I'm going to interrupt my wife, but I just wanted to point that part out because, we want to try to move away from that, because then they said, well, who is the real Jews? We understand that Jews, if you want to use that word, only pertain to Judah. And one thing that I think, I looked at my wife, when I looked at her results, you could see that she had the Lemba definitely considered to be the Levitical priest. Bantus are definitely Hebrew people. They had, I think they was primarily could be Judah. Then sub-Saharan ancestral is anybody below the Sahara Desert, which those are a lot of Hebrew tribes in there. And then she had the Yoruba, which is, I think, primarily when I get mine back, is going to be what mine mostly is. That's the northern tribes. It could be Ephraim, Manasseh, any of those. And then she had the Ethiopian Jews. She had a bunch. So I'm seeing that it was a connection all throughout there. So I just wanted to throw that little bit in. Plus, I want my wife to talk about some connections that she was knowing about before we found out who we were the people, dealing with her ancestors, slave master that got her pregnant, that was taught that he was a Jajan. Yeah, that he was some kind of and that might be why he impregnated her, raped. Well, let's just say he raped her, but because he knew something was special about her to try to whatever. But that's another story. Go ahead. What you thought about the results? I'm sorry.
Well, I was very shocked to see so many different types of heritage that I had, but I found it to be true because when I did Ancestry.com, it had Iberian Peninsula, and on that paper, let me see that, it has Atlantic, Mediterranean. So that's around that area.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that to be true. I was like, I guess it was true. And I also had 2% Indian, but it didn't indicate what type of Indian. And on here, it stated it was the Miwok and the Lumbee Indian.
Now, the Lumbee are not federally recognized Indian tribe, but they are recognized here in the state of North Carolina. Mm-hmm. They got the eastern and the western.
My great grandfather was from North Carolina.
Yeah, the eastern Lumbee are recognized by the state of North Carolina. They got different little privileges and things. The eastern Lumbee, which they look just like each other, they are not at this time recognized by the state of North Carolina. But I think that the Lumbee, that is black, white, and the Indians that were in the area, which was the 5 civilized nations of the Choctaw, the Creek, the Cherokee, and I can't think of the other, Catawba. I think it's the Catawba Indians. I can't think of the 5th one, but anyway, yeah, those also. I'm sorry that my wife finished.
Well, when it had Iberian Peninsula on there, and I was like, well, I don't know anybody from Spain or Portugal, but when it saw that the area that my people came from, it said Atlantic Mediterranean Neolithic area, I was saying that Ancestry was on point. Mm-hmm. And we know that Mexicans have Spanish blood in them from Spain. Some of them.
Now this is where we
Puerto Ricans have pure Spanish.
This is where we have to
black Puerto Ricans.
We had to understand how they do this DNA stuff, because this confused me too. Like my wife was saying about the Spain. When we first, before we heard B'nai Israel presentation a couple of years ago, when he first started coming out and saying, yeah, we know that there was some tribe, a lot of tribes and stuff was in Africa, and a lot of our people went in, but that's explore Europe and in particular Spain and Portugal. And when he started talking about in his presentations that we went to everyone that he has done since he came here to North Carolina. Mm-hmm. That's when we start understanding, man, we were everywhere. Not just like you said, when Yah said he was gonna scatter us, he really meant it. He scattered us to, and so just like with my wife, the part about Australia, which we'll get to that, but that's like I said, when we start understanding, man, history really is is a story that's told by them. It's not true. What we were told was just total lies, right? I mean, and so one of the things that we discovered, like I said, about the DNA is they go to certain areas and get samples from that area. So when they pull the sample, right, and they'll send it back to you, they might tell you a country, excuse me, and you're thinking those people in that country are you, because I was like, I don't have no Spanish,
right,
whatever. But what it was, right, was that it still is people probably there in Spain and Portugal today that they got samples from. They had some kind of DNA, for me, that could be descendants from those people, of our people that were in Spain and Portugal during the time.
From the descendants of David.
Yeah, some
sent there after Babylon.
Yeah,
after captured.
Yeah. And so and then Ancestry changed it a couple of years ago and moved it to France. So I was like, okay, they moved it from Spain to France, but then southern France. But then we went and read, there were the Hebrew tribes, not just in Spain and Portugal, but all throughout Europe, but in particular southern Spain, Portugal. That was some of the places that they pushed them to. So that you're not thinking that you are a Spanish person per se, but it was that people of color in that area that were Hebrews who were saying that you was, just like the Mexican. My wife, it says Mexican, but we know that it is some of us down there. It's a lot of
African heritage.
That went down into Mexico. So you have to remember that when you're reading these results, when you say, well, I got all these, like, and understand that all these countries, we were there, and a lot of places we are there again. I know during the Biafran War in the 1970s, there was a lot of Biafran who are Igbos, who are considered to be Hebrews or Jews, I said the word again, that they scattered all around the world to escape the war. So you see what I'm saying? Some of them went to Greece. It's a famous basketball player that plays for the Milwaukee Bucks. He got a Greek name. He's an African, but he's a Nigerian. His family is from Nigeria. They went there because of the Biafran War. I could be wrong, but I think that's why they went. So if you have to understand that when you get the results back, and not think that, hey, I got these people, and it could be that your people were scattered there, because what I've seen from my understanding, we are in a continual state of being scattered. Or moving. It's like we never can settle in one area. We're always moving. Even when we got here in America and blacks in the South were being lynched and everything, a lot of black people left the South and did what? Went up north. Great migration. So you could say, hey, I'm from Detroit, but where's your family originally from? Oh, my family originally from Louisiana, Alabama, or South Carolina, North Carolina. And so you moving around, right? So I just wanted to say that part. I'm gonna let that finish.
I just was shocked that there was so much inside me. But my percentages, number one was maybe 79% sub-Saharan.
Which is Hebrews.
Yeah.
Hebrews, yeah. Sub-Saharan Africa. And my understanding is the Limba are in, primarily they're in Zimbabwe and South Africa, but I think that there's probably some other areas. Now, it was a guy, and I don't even want to really mention his name because I don't want to get no controversy started to anybody to look at this video. But he got a channel out there, and you probably, if I told you his name, you would know. But he was going around talking about the Congo and everything, and he's based out of South Africa. Now, we used to listen to him a little bit off and on, but he started getting off into some beliefs and stuff that I don't adhere to. But I don't want to down him or anything. That's why I won't mention his name. I'll just say we did get some good information dealing with You know how he's seen the scattering of the different tribes dealing with South Africa and Central Africa, which he stated in his videos there was not a lot of concentration on those areas. Everything seemed to be concentrated on the west coast of Africa, but he said don't sleep on Central Africa and South Africa and parts of East Africa, because that's probably where a lot of our people started off, and then some of them migrated into West Africa. They basically were migrating all throughout the continent of Africa also, right? So yeah, I think that the Limba, you know, because what Benaya and Sister E said, that most black people when they get there, when they do this JED match, MPL World 22, Limba always comes up as the first one, so that there was some people going around that was trying to say, oh, JED match is a fraud and all this stuff. Because how is it that every black person that does it comes up with Limba? What that is showing is that we all connected. We are all connected. Especially here in America, it was only a small percentage of slaves that was brought here to America. I think the most they said that was brought here to America was like 450,000 of us. The reason we populated so fast was that they made these slave breeding farms where they was breeding us over and over and over. So that's what made our population multiply up so fast, because they was just making us breed, so fast.
Blood pure.
Yeah, and so that's why it's truly true. We are, we are closer to each other than what we really thought. Because when I get my results back, I won't be surprised if I see the same thing. But then, you think about he's such a, and I want to start bringing more of my conversations about how great Yah is to. He gives us this to show his greatness. But even if he didn't give us this DNA stuff like this, we should know that the Bible said and I'm just gonna use the word. The word said the Lord knows how to preserve His people.
Yeah.
He knows how to preserve us, not just from sin, but also preserve us, so that for the most part, even with the mixing and all this stuff happening, we as African Americans, if you want to use that word, Hebrews, Jews, or whatever, we keep our distinctiveness of what way we look, the way we sound, the way we dress or whatever. We do it unnaturally. We just do it without thinking, because that's who we are. We don't have to study whatever. That's why sometimes you'll see, them do the comparison that African Americans do this and then these African tribes do this. There's a similarity. Well, why were we doing things that might have been similar to what the African tribe, like the pouring the libations, where we would go and say, let's pour a drink for Johnny that just died, or let's pour a drink on the ground. Well, in West Africa, they pour libations out to the ancestors. We don't prescribe to that, but I'm just showing you it's in our DNA. It's in our DNA to do it. It's in its epigenetic. It's coming out. So it's the same thing. Like I said, these results are showing what some of the tribal folklore and things were saying in Africa to a lot of them about who they were, but they hid it. But now it's coming out that we know, and so now they're reciprocating and say, yeah, we knew all along who we were, but because of persecution, because a lot of times we didn't want the colonizers to know a lot of things, we hid it from them, because now we see what they're doing. They're scouring the world for us. Now, understand, they been had our DNA, and I think before the DNA came, they knew who we are. All the DNA does is for them is to validate, what we thought about them is true, and give them ways to either give us the recognition, which they're not, I don't think they're going to do, or to use it for nefarious reasons. And, I just say this, it's a lot more stuff coming out about how many black people here in this country actually knew that they didn't that go well. If you already seen the B'nai Israel video, you see where he's, like we were saying last night, where he said some of our people came here not as slaves, but came here as Jews. They were kicked out of countries for being Jewish, not for being black, even though they were black, but they was kicked out for being Jews. So a lot of time when we hear this persecution thing of the people that say that they are the people, it's not talking about them. It was talking about us, because back then they wasn't going by so much color. They was going by your country or your religion. Your color didn't matter. Even though in the descriptions they would say, oh, well, these are the Portuguese, these are black Portuguese Jews. When they said Jews, and overall, it could have been anyone, but in particular countries, they would say, well, those Portuguese and Spanish Jews. Right? So, man, it's so much stuff coming out. I'm telling you, we got to be very prayerful about this, because it's going to push, them to either acknowledge or, continue on with their agenda, which is to say that we're crazy and we don't. I mean, the internet, they always say the internet is the greatest thing, but then when it start getting revealing truth to help us, then it's the internet is evil. The internet is evil. Well, like I stated in one of my videos, yeah, we know that a lot of the things that's going on the internet, dealing with making money is things of sin, like porn, illegal gambling. Man, Man, it's a major portion of the internet, all of this stuff, but then it's also parts of it that can be used for good. So let's not let them demonize you because you say, okay, I went to Ancestry site online and I went to Jet Match online and it's all a fraud. No, it's true. It is true. And it's only by the grace of Yah. He's allowing it to happen. Right? Well, he said, because he said, if you don't praise me, he said the rocks is going to cry out. Yah is letting all these sources and things that they hid from us, that they buried some of our ancestors in the ground or whatever, and never let us know. But that DNA that's in us, right? It's speaking. It's speaking for our ancestors that died, maybe knowing that they were the people or whatever. It's speaking, and they can't stop it. They can't stop it, and we just got to keep, use it for positivity. That's not use it to go and try to be anarchist. All we trying to do is come together under a known, something we know about each other, right? And it's funny, we was looking at a show today with Sister E, where she's got this Limber elder to come on, and she got some other people that were that had got their results from Jet Match to show that they were Limber. And one of the ladies said that when she wanted to try to find out what tribe she was, she took her Jet Match. She said she took her Jet Match results to somebody. I don't know who it was, but she said when she showed them her Jet Match result, because she had the same Limber and all that other kind of stuff. Sort of like I said, most black people, she said when whoever these African people were seeing her result, they said, oh, you're not African, you're Jewish. Mm-hmm. And she said, what? You understand what I'm saying? So I'm gonna let my wife speak on that.
Yeah, it was a good segment they had on Sister E. If you would like, you can go watch it. It was talking about what conversations with
the Limber elder. I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it was good.
She was Jewish. But I'm gonna want my wife, because it's a heavy presence of those people that say they are us in my wife's hometown. They got big synagogues there. They got a lot of money. And we know from history that those people there in Savannah, they helped save the Revolutionary War for George Washington because they had connections with the bankers back in Holland and not Denmark, Holland or whatever, the Dutch, and they were able to get money to lend to George Washington to help him continue on with the Revolutionary War when they got low, because they had their friends back in Europe. And so there is a synagogue down there in Savannah that has that, like that thank you, for them helping them collect the money to continue to fight the war against the British. So we know from history that a lot of the plantation owners were these people. They were. And from listening to Benaya Israel presentation, he's saying that when they came along, they definitely knew who we were or whatever.
Because they said that they came
right after us
to Savannah.
Mm-hmm.
And they was like, I hope you're not trying to set up here, right?
Yeah.
And they basically
ran them out. Ran them out into South Carolina.
They knew the possibility of what they could do, the power that they had, and how smart and industrious and actually rich they were.
Yeah, once the real history start coming out, like I said, when Benaya said that he's gonna do some more presentations where he's gonna show how some of our people came into an area and then they would come right behind them and get them chased out, and then they would replace them, so that when you read, oh, these people come to this area, you would think it was them originally, but it wasn't them originally. They came right behind them and they just took the credit or whatever for that. And then they also took the thing of, the persecution. Whereas and that's not to say that some of the people that have taken on the identification or the religion of Judaism have not been persecuted, I'm saying, but the original people that were the real Jewish, or we want to say Hebrew people, were the ones that faced the persecution first and foremost. And then later on, once they invented colorism and to throw that in, then the focus was on their color, not so much of them being the people. You see what I'm saying? That's why they always used to say, oh, we're similar. We're similar. We getting persecuted, you getting persecuted. But the persecution of being a quote unquote Jew was both black and white at one time. But then after colorism came, then it siphoned off with us for just being our color, because then they said, oh, y'all not Jewish. These are the people. You aren't. But that's not what history is now revealing to us. It's revealing otherwise. So I'm waiting for my results to come back. I'm thinking that they'll probably be similar because Jacob had 12 sons, and the sons are going to all have the same DNA. And because Yah preserved us, even though he punished us greatly, a lot of us died off, got killed off. And who's to say how many more will this happen to, now that we're getting down to the end of times and it's time to repent. Because beyond all the results that we have here about who you are and everything, if you don't know Yeshua, the Son of Yah, in the pardon of your sins, if you're not born again, it does not matter. It does not matter. Because the Bible said that some shall wait to everlasting bliss, and then some shall await to everlasting damnation. Now, we was taught that dealt with the resurrection, which I do believe it does, but it also, I believe, deals with awakening to who we are. Some people are awakening to this, knowing that, hey man, I know Yeshua, I'm born again, and now that I know it just makes their salvations for them even sweeter. Whereas there's some that are awakening and they're being prideful and saying, oh, we're the 12 tribes, whatever. But they're still debaucherous. They're still doing all the stuff that got us kicked into this slavery anyway. It's not doing them any good. It's not mixed with faith. The faith, that's what Yeshua said. He said when he come back, will he find the faith that he left on the earth? And the faith that he left on the earth said, I came first for my people. They rejected me. So since they rejected me, I'll go to a people that was not mine, but I'm not going to totally cast my people away. He said they are going to come back to me once they are able to say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord or the name of Yahuwah. And we are getting close to that part where we are going to be able to say, blessed is he that he didn't let us be destroyed, that he didn't let us die without knowing who we are. You understand? Blessed is he for revealing this to us. But not just revealing this to us, but also us being born again. That's more blessed, right? Because somebody came to Yeshua and said, oh, blessed is the mother that basically the mother that feeds you. He said, no, more blessed is he that has his name written in the... So he was basically saying, don't think so much about the physicality part. Think about the spiritual part, that your name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life. That is blessed. Yeah, it is blessed to know that we are the people. But without salvation, it's not going to do you no good. You got to be born again, right? You got to have your DNA changed. The DNA, that we got of a physical is there and is grand. But unless you had your spiritual DNA changed by the blood of Yeshua, right? He don't recognize the blood of the 12 sons of Israel for salvation. He don't recognize that in heaven. The only blood that Yah recognizes in heaven for you to be changed is the blood of Yeshua. That's for anybody. So you can have all 12 brothers' DNA in you. But if you don't have the blood of Yeshua covering your life, you're not going to make it into the kingdom. I'll let my wife speak on that.
Yeah, you have to have a relationship. It's about relationship and not all the time about the bloodline. You have to have a relationship with Yeshua, which is known as Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important thing, is to be joined in him in the spirit.
In the spirit.
He said, who worship me must worship me in spirit and in truth.
Because he cast us off because we rejected him, and he grafted in other people. He grafted in other people of other bloodlines, grafted them into the olive tree. We are the branches, the natural branches. He said that they were wild branches, but they was grafted in contrary to nature. But he said, just like them, he said, we can be grafted in, re-grafted in. And he said, if the casting away of us was good, how much more will the rebringing of us back as a nation, not just as individual branches, but as the fig tree, like Yeshua said in his thing. He said, you'll know that the time is getting when you look at the fig tree, when it's getting ready to cast its figs. Mm-hmm. And that's when I guess the figs turn from, that color, they have a certain color, and then the sun turns, they start turning dark, because that's what that means. Now it's revealing the revelation of the sons of Yah, but it can't be just a physical revelation, meaning that they say, I guess it's just the black people. No, it's got to be a coming together of us as a nation, which would be a miracle because we're so divided. And also we need to see the gifts and callings of Yah coming out of 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter, being exhibited when we're seeing people being healed. We're seeing people having devils cast out of them. We can see true gifts of prophecy. None of this stuff that we seeing where they selling prophecies and all this other kind of stuff and getting up before and making these big proclamations. We need to see this because we need some direction. With all this information, it's still something missing. it's still something missing, and we waiting for y'all